What's going on, everyone? January 13th, 2021. We got Ronnie out in Chicago.
What's going on, everyone?
Yeah, really interesting day. Some really significant short squeezes going on out there. So let's get this started. So when we're starting this off, we always just got to tell everyone this isn't investment advice. We're not investment advisors. We don't know what we're talking about. We're just out here just chatting. So Ronnie, what'd you think? Really interesting day out there today.
Yeah, it's just a continuation of just strength on strength, especially on the smaller cap, mid cap stocks. So, yeah, that's the bread and butter. I feel like where the big moves are happening, but what's your take?
Yeah, I think that there is no evidence whatsoever of anyone trying to sell. Looking at this, I've tried looking at the sell side, and there's full-blown capitulation from my perspective because no one is selling this. This is just going up. Stick with it as long as it's going up. If it goes down, then you know that's going to be the time, and it's better to just lose then rather than lose trying to predict that it's going to go down. So, for example, if you take a look at the SPX, it's been chopping around in a range here at the all-time highs with a low of about 37.80 and a high of 38.25. We're just balancing off, cooling off some of the froth from this upward move. We just wait and see above 38.26 in the SPX. Then we have a breakout. This is an interesting week. It's going to be options expiration. A lot of shenanigans may be going on Friday. They may be trying to push or pull prices just to make sure that they can burn a lot of options so that they expire worthless. So I would just be a little bit careful with that. NASDAQ came down, had a nice touch on its 20 here yesterday. Looked like there was a couple of days of pullback, but really nothing there that was any evidence whatsoever of any selling. We've bounced clean right off of the 20 on QQQ, and we're working our way back upwards. IWM remains strong here at all-time highs. Nothing there that looks weak whatsoever. FANG has been just back and forth. Facebook's come out really weak this week because of the news related to all of the discussion with online platforms and censorship. It's having a bounce here at about 245, which is its 200-day simple moving average. We just wait and see what it's going to do, but Facebook, nothing exciting there. Apple, what do you think about it?
Apple, there was the big news that while it was great what they said, it was not expected in terms of what people were expecting in regards to the car. So yeah, they have these social initiatives. Hopefully we get some news on this car coming out. There was something about Foxconn setting up manufacturing for it. So more to come.
Yeah, the whole situation's kind of sketchy. Apple is supposedly out there looking at getting into the electric car business and potentially partnering up with Hyundai. There's news that's coming out from South Korea regarding that, and the momentum is building. There was a special announcement this morning, as Ronnie said, but it was a social initiative and not what we were all hoping to hear about them making any sort of announcement about a car. It looks still relatively strong. It's here consolidating, not too far away from its all-time highs. It closed today above its 20. I think that if we start to see now a turnaround in the NASDAQ with the FANG stocks, which may be starting to wake up, their earnings are going to be in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, all of the classic FANG stocks are going to be having earnings. Usually these have a run up in earnings. So right now we saw a nice move up in Apple today. This may be the start because we saw it and Netflix had a little bit of a recovery. It's still just chopping around in its range, but it's holding its own. Amazon is just all over the place. One day I'm looking at Amazon, I'm thinking it's going lower. The next day I'm looking at it, I'm thinking it's going higher. What do you think about it?
Amazon, man, I think that long term it's going to play out. What was the price at it right now?
It's at 31.65.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a pullback, I think if you can get some leaps in for a yearly for farther out, I don't see why this won't go 4,000. Everyone uses it. It's getting even more used by everybody else, especially in these COVID times.
Yeah, Amazon is ever prevalent, and it's had several months that it's been tightening up its range. So it had a broader range that it was bouncing around in, and that range is becoming more and more narrow. It's great if you're a premium seller on weeklies or 2 weeks out, selling around 3,200, selling out some premium, collecting some of that. But ultimately, when this breaks out, there is a wedge that's forming. Once it breaks out, either up or down, the move may be pretty explosive. So Amazon, I would say, keep it on the radar. It's going to be something that when it moves, it's going to move big. Microsoft still chopping around sideways, nothing to show there. Tesla, what do you have to say about
Tesla, this thing cannot go down either. They'll have pullbacks every once in a while, but it just keeps going.
Yeah, Tesla's chopping around here near its all-time highs. It looks like around 850. It's consolidating at this range. And there's going to be a lot of people out there who have a lot of options, and these were really juiced up. So these market makers, they may just end up trying to pin Tesla at a certain level and just burn these options so that anyone who had bought calls or puts, they're all going to expire worthless. So I think that 850 seems like a decent level for just a couple of days of an iron fly. Also looking to sell out to next week an iron fly at 850. And let's see what those are marking at right now. So if you want to look out to next week, 850 calls and puts are about $40 and $35 each. So that's $75 in premium. You could cap it with $100 beyond that. So really how you could structure that is selling the 850 call, sell the 850 put, buy the 750 put, and buy the 950 call. So I think, Ronnie, if you look at that, maybe about $60 in credit that you're going to get. You're not looking to get all 60, but just see if you could pick up a couple of dollars. That's not a bad idea.
Nice.
The chips are just fake out city. NVIDIA had a breakout, pulled back, is recovering. NVIDIA should be strong. Theoretically, think about it, video cards, RTX graphics cards, sold out, high prices, multiple models. They can't keep those things on the shelves. The future is strong as well for graphics cards, but right now it's just not showing that it's ready. AMD moved lower. It did come out to a new all-time high a couple of days ago, and then it's been a sharp reversal back. It's pulled back really strong just because of news on Intel. Their CEO was stepping down. Now magically everyone thinks that Intel is going to recover and compete with AMD. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I got in prior to even starting this or joining this podcast with you, was in Intel Leaps for next year. They were so cheap, 22 cents, expiry in January. So those are 100 strike. My whole game plan on that was exactly this, playing off the news, off the hype. Do I think Intel's going to do anything big? I'm not leaning towards that, but any hype that can pump this IV up and the price I'm happy with.
So did you take the profit off of that, or are you actually going to hold? Because Intel hasn't been at
I'm going to hold
100
because
ever.
it's this new CEO. I think this will get even more hype if he starts releasing stuff. He came from VMware, and VMware had quite a dip today. I think they even had downgrades after this CEO left.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Intel, they don't have the fabrication process to match the chip design of AMD. AMD is utilizing the suppliers to their maximum, so even if Intel magically was able to come up with fabrication, they wouldn't be able to necessarily come up with the design and production of this. I would say if you get a nice move, try to lock it in and then look beyond, because Intel is not a company I think is a long-term positive. Let's talk about some of the meme stocks. GameStop. We got to talk about GameStop. So GameStop, tell me about what was going on with this new board member from Chewy.
Yeah, so Ryan Cohen. I first heard about GameStop and the Ryan Cohen engine that is from Fin Twitter named Will Mead. And not sure if this guy is even real or not, but he called this out last year very early on in its $3-4 range. And this thing, he just, as he described it, Ryan Cohen founded Chewy. He comes in, changes the game into an online presence. And that's what he looks like he's trying to do with GameStop. Him and two of his former Chewy executives took 3 of the board seats, and they're looking to just go all in on his plan.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting if they can turn around GameStop. This we know is a heavily shorted stock. Let's go back and take a look. So really today what happened was it started the day at a low of about 20 and it had a high of 38. Really insane moves. GameStop at its peak back before 07 and 08 crash was at $63. So let's go back and take a look at some yearly technical analysis. Going back to 2013, we've broken the downtrend going back to 2013. So we're really just in clear, shorted territory. I would say as a first target would be about 50 for GameStop. There may be some consolidation there. After that, it's going to be 60. And if we can clear that with an epic short squeeze, which certainly is possible. We had one day, this is just day one of this breakout. Not everyone was clearing their shorts. There actually were probably people who are going long this as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a flurry of upgrades at some point here in the near future, talking about the theoretical potential of this going higher. I would just stay in it. I know there's temptation to want to cover and lock in whatever profit you may have on some out of the money, crazy lotto plays that you had. I think this can keep going. If you take a look at DoorDash, have you seen DoorDash here in the last few days?
Yeah, it just kept running.
Yeah, DoorDash has just gone insane here in the last week. So last week it was right around 140, and then this week it's gone up to 215. Now, I don't know about you, DoorDash, it's all right, but I don't think this is as valuable as they're making it out to be. So there's...
Yeah, I don't see how. I'm sure there's more to it, the balance sheets and whatnot with Dash and Uber, but I feel like Uber is, I use that way more still with Uber Eats than DoorDash.
Yeah, DoorDash, really insane move, but moral of the story, GameStop, I think just staying in it, it's got room to run higher. Jumia was interesting. There was a call. It broke back above its 20-day moving average. That was a signal for a buy. Shares, long calls, short puts, whatever it is that you wanted to do, it all would have worked. Then today, there was even more positive catalyst that came out when Citron Research came out and said that Jumia is one of the hottest stocks, and it flew today. It got another, let's take a look, got up to $46 price. So Jumia's prior all-time high is 49, and it's going to go there. I don't see any reason why it's not. Easily looking at if you think that by the end of the week it could potentially get there. Let's see what we could price out with Jumia. What do you think about that?
I think Jumia is a long-term hold. Just take a look at any of these other e-commerce companies that are in large countries or even the continents themselves servicing them, like Mercado Libre, MELI, which has been on a tear this past week in general. Why can't Jumia reach those heights serving Africa itself?
Yeah, I think it will. Jumia, if you wanted to get long call butterfly, buying the 45 strike, selling the 50, and then buying the 55 is about 66 cents for $5 wide. I think that's a reasonable thing to be considering because going back to the all-time highs, if we have strength in the market, makes sense. Corsair, what do you think about Corsair?
Man, I'm just going through Twitter, the FinTwit right now, and funny you said that. I was going to bring it up because Corsair is now getting a lot of attention. So I think this is just going to keep running. I personally use their products. When I go through Costco, I see their products now out there for sale. And I have another product that I wanted to bring up that I've seen at Costco named Celsius, but we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, Corsair, Peripherals, it's the big thing right now, e-gaming. We got skills, tournaments coming up, work from home. Everything's going for it. So I'd say very long on Corsair.
Yeah, Corsair, I agree. Skills is interesting, SKLZ. So that's had a really nice move here in the past week. It's just been gap, go every day. To me, Skills is looking a little bit stretched. the move was earlier once we broke out above its all-time high. I personally think just waiting for this to pull back, I would say right around 24.80 as a potential first buy point. Another could be right around 23, and then below that 21. So what could you potentially do in this situation? So let's say you're bullish on skills. You want it to potentially be a long-term hold, but right now you feel it's overstretched. So let's take a look at, they only have monthly options. Selling the February 20 puts, that would net you $1.10 in credit. So that's not actually too bad, because even if it went right around that level, being assigned the shares, you would be happy, I think, owning SKLZ at about 20, because there's a lot of consolidation there. It's the 20-day simple moving average, and that'll give you room to breathe on the way up. And you would collect that $1.10 credit. So selling covered puts, I think, in skills is a good idea. What about SPCE, Space, Virgin Galactic?
This is going to the moon, possibly Mars with Elon. Big news was Kathy Ark, then might as well call her Tim Apple. Kathy and her Ark Investments, they are creating a space ETF or fund, and of course that is going to get pumped from that news after hours.
Yeah, so after hours right now it's at 31.40, so it's clearing into a gap, and I would say that targeting 35 is the first short-term target. So getting in SPCE either with shares or with some options. Let's take a look and see what SPCE looks like. So this is pretty liquid. They have weekly options. There's definitely room out there that you could play with this. Today was interesting. There were 120,000 calls that were exchanged and only 25,000 puts. If we take a look at the biggest size, so someone out there bought 2,000 January 29th, 34 strike calls. So someone must have been ahead of the game, and they knew about what was coming out, and this pop was incoming, because they got in with 2,000 January 29th, 34 calls, and someone sold February 30 puts, and they sold that for $5. So there's a jacked up IV and premium in these, that they collected a massive amount of premium there, $5 for a month out. So people are going to be really happy tomorrow. All right, what else you got out there, Ronnie? Any other names?
Yeah, I actually got a few names. Just want to go back to the one I said earlier. The product I saw at Costco, which has been getting a lot of hype, is Celsius, CELH. It's a drink. I think it's like 0 calories or 10 calories or something like that. It's marketed that it will burn 100 calories just from drinking the can, as there's 300 milligrams of caffeine plus all these other stimulants essentially in it. And I had one actually today after speaking to a friend about it for a while now. Man, it wasn't that bad tasting, to be honest. Better than a Rockstar, Monster, Red Bull. Will I buy it again? Maybe, but I don't know. 300 milligrams of caffeine is a little much. A lot of people like that style.
Yeah, I think that's something to keep on your list. Maybe if there is some sort of pullback. To me right now, this looks way overextended. It's been going up essentially since November of last year. I would see if there's going to be any sort of pullback to around $47 to $50, and then maybe looking at entering into that.
The other one I had on the list was CCIV, and this was big news today because of Lucid Motors looking like that might be the spec that goes into that. It's an EV play. Ross Gerber on Twitter, he actually met with them, and he's posting about how he thinks it's a great company and whatnot. He got his claim to fame by visiting Tesla's factory and going heavily invested into them in their early days after seeing what they were doing. So a lot of people think that if this guy's going into it, he's done it before, maybe he can hit it again a second time.
Interesting.
So It's one to check out, I would think.
All right. You got anything else?
That's pretty much it from me. I wanted to keep it short to a few. Give you some more tomorrow.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Later.